describe and sketch the graph of r equals 8 over 2 minus 3 sine theta. First, we want this in the standard form. The standard form for a conic is going to be where we have a 1 right here. And since we don't have a 1 there, what we're going to do, this is quite simple, we're just going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the reciprocal of this number. So that's going to be 1/2 over 1/2. And this just is going to transform it so it looks like it's in the proper form. So 8 times 1/2 is 4, and then over here we get 1 minus, and then the 3 times 1/2 is 3/2. So 3/2 sine of theta. Okay, now comparing this to our standard form of ED over 1 minus E sine of theta, we see that E is equal to 3/2. So E equals 3/2. Because 3/2 is greater than 1, we know that this is a hyperbola. Okay, and of course the focus will be at the pole, since that's our standard form for conics in the polar form of conics. All right, now, because we have a sine, we know that this will be a vertically oriented hyperbola, which means that the directrix will be a horizontal line. All right, we can also, well, now we can start to sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. I'm going to here draw my pole and my polar axis. And because I know that this will be a vertically oriented hyperbola, I can find the vertices of the hyperbola by plugging in theta equals pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So r, plugging in pi over 2, is equal to 4 over 1 minus 3/2 times sine of pi over 2, which is 1. So this is 4 over 1 minus 3/2, which is negative 1/2. This gives us a negative 8. So at an angle of pi halves, we get negative 8, which means we've got the point negative 8 pi halves. So that's actually straight down 8 units. So that's a vertex of our hyperbola. And then we can get another vertex by plugging in 3 pi over 2. So 3 pi over 2. Well, that gives us 4 over 1 minus 3/2 times sine of 3 pi over 2, which is a negative 1. And this is, this is 4 over 1 plus 3/2, which is 5/2. And that simplifies to be 8 over 5. So at the angle of 3 pi over 2, we go a distance of 8/5, okay, which will be somewhere around there. We know this is a hyperbola, so it's going to be opening like this, and down like that. So there's just a quick little sketch, something like this. Now, if we want to be a little bit more precise, we can get a couple more points, which I will do here by plugging in a couple of more values. I'm going to go ahead and plug in our theta equals 0 and pi, so to get things that are on the polar axis. So r, when theta is 0, we get 4 over 1 minus 3/2 sine of 0, which is just 1. So at 0 it comes out to 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we plug in pi, again, sine of pi is 0, so we will again get 4. So over a pi, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's another point. And so we can draw the hyperbola going out like that. And there's a sketch of our hyperbola with the pole at one focus.